Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist, and I know that it's late, but I'm still up. And I was sitting here scrolling this clock app, and of course, my timeline nowadays is full of sinners reviews and hot takes and opinions and very educational and informative videos from wonderful content creators about this film. And just to let y'all know, we will be doing a part 2 of Sunday's Sinners today, because it is after midnight, so it's today. And that will be at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And this time we're going to focus on the cultural elements of the film, the connection and relationship historically between Black folks, Indigenous folks, Irish, and Asian. Um, the concept of Blackness and what that entails, especially for a mixed race, white passing individual and all those things. That's going to be more of the focus for this live. But on any note, watching some different videos about the film, and I realized that one of the most prevalent lines for me was when Sammy was talking to Smoke and Stack about Chicago. And I think Stack, I cannot remember which twin said it, Smoke or Stack, they both fine. But one of them said to him, Chicago ain't no different from Mississippi. Instead of plantations, it's tall buildings. And that line is super important, even in 2025, because a lot of people, I realize, still have this belief that going up north or going to a big city somewhere else was somehow better or less racist or whatever the belief is. And it's flawed and false. And I say that because some of the most, if not the most racist encounters I've ever had have been up north. And I've lived a lot of places. I've lived multiple places in the South. I grew up in Western New York, Niagara Falls, New York. And some of your most racist places are in the North. Boston, one of the most racist cities. Buffalo, New York, one of the most racist cities. Detroit, even if you go to the West Coast, there are places in California racist. That's not something you can escape in a country that was built on racism and white supremacy. It's going to be everywhere. And I know nowadays, especially like during election time, we see these political maps and we see blue states. And we automatically think, oh, progressive and better and not racist. But do you really pay attention to the actual whole map of the state? Blue urban city centers are small, but they have a lot more people, which is how a state can be blue, but have so many pockets of red that you don't see unless you look closer. At one point, we were stationed in New York at Fort Drum, 3 hours from my hometown. Our time at Fort Drum in a little place called Watertown, I had two of the most racist encounters I've ever had in my life, and that was in New York. And I think people need to remember that if you go back in history to colonial times, the first 13 colonies, all those people were colonizers. It was all the same. They all looked at black folks the same, or at that time, the enslaved Africans. They all looked at them the same way. And I think people also need to realize that even when you got to a point where you had white abolitionists and white people who fought to free the slaves, unless you really know their mindset completely, fighting to free someone because you know they are being done wrong and fighting to free someone so that they can be equal to you are two different fights. They may have very well felt like these are human beings who deserve freedom and deserve certain rights, but that don't mean they all felt like they deserve to be equal to us. And I think that's where we get allyship confused. See, to be an ally and feel like everyone deserves equality is one thing, but do you believe that we deserve what you have? Do you believe that we are the same as you? That's the question. And even when you hear people say things like, I'm not racist, being not racist is not enough. Anti-racist is a step further. There are books on this as well. But nonetheless, all of that came out of me hearing that one line. And I thought about the fact that when he said, the tall buildings replaced the plantation in Chicago, that's the difference. Yeah, think about the plants in the major cities up north that all those black folks who migrated went to work for. A lot of black people who left the South after emancipation and, as time passed and we get into different eras, they left southern states to find better up north, better jobs. And where did a lot of them end up? At a plant, whether it was an auto plant or some other form of a plant. But plants were really no different than a plantation. So when you think about it like that, yes, they went to where they felt it would be better and they would get more progress, but they were met with the same mentalities, the same hate, the same racism. So it's no better up north most of the time or in these bigger cities. It's just a different type. Even nowadays, in the South, you see more overt racism when you do see it. Up north, it's more covert. It's more, sugar coated. You see the microaggressions and all that stuff, but it's still there. Me personally, I like my racism blatant. I need to know you hate me. Please don't try to cover it up. Don't try to make it sound sweet. None of that. Just be real about it. Stand 10 toes in your hatred. That's always best. hmm But yeah, all of that came out of that one line. So that was my nightly thoughts. What y'all think? Y'all have a beautiful, wonderful rest of the evening, and I will hopefully see y'all tomorrow for Sinner Sunday Part 2.